But I got to a point where I was doing too many things on my page. I was trying to do storytelling, illusions, magic, mind reading, just everything, and just throwing a bunch of stuff and hoping it sticks, as opposed to kind of breaking it down and understand why it does or doesn't work. And really defining your niche, I think, is important. And that's something that can take a while.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where we teach you how to grow on social media by talking to the people that have actually done it. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by TRUFAN. Before we get into today's conversation, there's a couple things that we need to go over first. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to leave us a positive rating and review, share this episode with a friend, and subscribe to the show. And now, today on the podcast, we are joined by the Magic Matt. He has over 3.5 million followers on TikTok, over 600,000 subscribers on YouTube. How did he get there? Let's find out. Matt, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's quite an honor. I have quite a few things to share, and hopefully it'll help out quite a few people. So I'm excited to dive in.
Awesome, man. I'm excited as well. And where I want to start, what I want to know is, who was Matt before TikTok?
Matt was someone who dabbled in magic, card tricks, and whatnot. Always kind of like a school nerd sort of type. But it was when I did my first high school talent show where I performed some card tricks for my teacher, my friends, and they loved it. And I was like, wow, like this is something that I really want to delve into as an art form. So I started performing more and more. And obviously, the world took a pretty sharp turn and we were all stuck at home. So I decided I still love magic, this newfound passion. I said, I'm going to start taking it online. And that was kind of what kickstarted my entire journey.
Interesting. So you found magic later on, right? Like it wasn't something you've been doing since you were a kid. You kind of found it in high school?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been doing magic for about 3 years. So just a year before I started TikTok, I actually saw Shin Lim. Not sure if you're familiar. He won America's Got Talent twice, and I was really inspired by him. So I kind of started the art in around like grade 11, grade 12. And with no live people to perform it to anymore, I took it online, and the rest is history.
But you, from my understanding, you've always kind of been comfortable, whether that be performing or being in front of an audience. Like you acted in plays in high school and stuff, and you're always comfortable on camera too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. In grade school, I would always act in like the school passion plays or things like that. And speeches, public speaking was always a big part of my life. In grade school, especially, we had like these yearly speeches, and I'd always advanced, the higher levels. And I just loved public speaking. And even in high school, I would do all like the mass readings, the morning announcements, right? I was the voice of the morning announcements too in high school. So that was pretty cool. I always loved just performing, presenting, and just getting my voice out there. It's always something I've had a passion for.
So I'm assuming then when you made the jump to TikTok that it wasn't a difficult thing for you to start talking on camera. Because I know for a lot of people, it's finding that confidence on camera that can be a big early hurdle for them. But I'm assuming that's something you didn't have a problem with.
It's something I didn't think I would have a problem with for sure. But, as with anything, starting out something new is always like uncharted territory. I wasn't really prepared for the response you would get starting out. A lot of it, like the views were low. I struggled for quite a bit. Having my whole life where I was in these speeches and whatever, it's so easy, crush it every time. Here you post a video, it gets 500 views, and you say, all right, am I not as good as I thought? So it's kind of like I was comfortable with it to a point, but I was still in my basement putting my phone on a ladder, trying to make do. But definitely with time, I got more comfortable with it. But looking back, those early videos were pretty rough, I would say.
And so what do friends and family think? Those early days where when you're starting magic, all of a sudden now you're recording yourself doing magic while with your phone mounted on a ladder in the basement. Like, are they thinking you're losing it a little bit, or are they supporting you through this? Like, what's the family and friend reaction to all this?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I thought TikTok was so cringy, all these dancing kids or whatever. And it was actually my ex-girlfriend who told me, she's like, you got to start, right? Like, you've been doing all this magic, might as well, whatever. So I downloaded the app, and a couple months went by, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to use this. But, slowly some of my other, like my best friend, he was like showing me a video. I was like, is that TikTok? And he's like, yeah, it's the next big thing, right? Like, you got to get in on it. So I slowly started posting on there 1 or 2 videos. And, obviously your friends would joke with you back then. What was it, like mid 2020, right? And people were like, oh, like, look at this guy, like obviously my closer friends would joke around. my family always, they're never big on the whole social media scene, but they saw, something I was passionate about and something I enjoyed, and they were very supportive of me in that sense. And I think my friends came around more so too, and I started making some money off it. So,
And so how long were you posting then before it kind of clicked and you started to get some more views?
oh man, it's got to be a solid 2 months of just low view. I didn't know what I was doing. I'll be honest. I was just, I remember actually listening to your podcast where Sean was like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Go on, look at what's working for people in your niche and build on that, use that. And it was me just struggling. And I remember I actually took that advice. I remember seeing a video or some sort of similar videos where it's kind of like an interactive mind reading where, you could like stop scrolling, like think of a number, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I have nothing left to lose. The views are low. I'll try it out. And I remember I posted it and the next morning I checked it and had like 8,000 views. And my highest viewed video was like 500 for like a couple months of work. So it's like, no way. Like this is going viral. Right. And it was just kind of like after that, I made another one, a similar one, and just kind of kept doing that style of content. If you look at like my earlier pages, there's a lot of like mind reading and interactive stuff. And but it was definitely a lot of trial and error. I'll say that.
And there's two things I like there though. It's one that you looked around, you saw what else was working for other people in your niche and figured out how you could apply that to yourself. And then two, once you had a video that hit, that worked, there was a bit of a formula there for you. You doubled down on it. You started to get more and more views that way by replicating what had already worked for you.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people too, as I was growing, started using that idea. I remember even Sean himself, he posted a video and in the description, it was like inspired by At the Magic Mat. And that was like kind of what I was known for, my thing, right? With like the interactive mind reading. So that was really cool. And having Sean support really early on, he was the first very big creator to ever follow me on social media. So I remember I used his sound for like the card trick where you change it from like the queen to a king or something like that. And he commented on it and he's like, keep it up. Like, it's amazing. And I was like, no way. Like, maybe there is some hope for me because I was this close to giving up. I'll tell you, like 2 months of quarantine, just not seeing any results. It definitely gets tough and thinking like, is this even meant for me? But you stick with it and you meet those people along the way and you find that encouragement from wherever you can.
So you get that comment from Sean, that says like keep it up. What else keeps you, because you said you're close to quitting. I mean, you get the comment from Sean. Sean at that point in time is probably somewhere around, I would say, the 5-6 million follower mark at that time. You get the comment from him, bigger creator in the niche. What else is keeping you going when you're close to quitting? Beyond the comment, what else? What made you decide, you know what, I'm just gonna give this one more shot?
A lot of it was just me being at home and I had already invested so much time into it. And I'm thinking like, that was kind of around the time where I started watching YouTube videos, and there was a guy named Joseph Todd on YouTube who posted a lot of like TikTok analytics and how to create
Mm.
viral videos and stuff like that. And I was like, I've already invested and feel like I know a lot, but it's just not working, right? I get that comment from Sean, that's awesome. So that was kind of at the point where I posted that one mind reading video, and I was like, if this doesn't, do decent, like this is just not for me. And thankfully, it got 8,000 overnight, and then the next week or so, it was my first million view video, and that was kind of like my saving grace, I guess. If it wasn't for that one video, I don't think I'd be here today.
So you get a million on that first video over the course of a couple of weeks. And then you say you started replicating that video. What else did you do to kind of make sure you carried on with that momentum? Because you see a lot of channels, they'll get 500, 600, 700,000, a million views, but then their next video gets 4,000 views. Like they have the spike and then they kind of drop off and they can't regain it. So were you doing anything else along with kind of replicating that video style to kind of make sure that momentum continued for you?
I feel like in any TikToker's career, they always have the ups and the downs. But what really was important for me was always trying new things. Obviously, sticking to what works. I would always post like the mind reading kind of things, just keep the views up high. But I would always try new stuff too. As I was saying earlier, I always like kind of speeches and storytelling and things like that. So I tried doing that and tried doing optical illusions and like magic, like physical magic, and just other things that I saw work for other people. I kept looking. I didn't find that one thing, do it to death, and then like put on some blinders, right? I kept an eye out to see what other people were doing in the community, but also trying to put a creative spin on it, right? Because if it worked for someone else, it could work for you, but you don't want to be labeled as a copycat at that point. One other thing I just wanted to add, like I tried the storytelling And I love doing that. But I got to a point where I was doing too many things on my page. And that's why in the past summer, I found it just really important to niche back down to one or two specific things. And I started a separate storytelling page and a separate magic page on TikTok, or I kept the separate magic page on TikTok. And yeah, I think that's another really important point. Just keeping to your niche as closely as you can while trying other things.
I think that's a really good point because back to those people I was talking about where they pop off and then now it's like a one hit wonder type situation. It's like they don't have that niche. So they pop off for one thing and then their next group of videos have nothing to do with that video that went viral. So even if they got an influx of followers, they're not getting what they thought they were they're not getting what they thought they were going to get when they followed them. And so how then do you determine when something is close enough that you can start experimenting with it on your page? Because I'm sure you have a bunch of different interests, like you said, with the storytelling. So how do you know when something's close enough to magic that you can post it on the magic page?
I stick to kind of like paper art and illusions because that's what I feel like works and I can build a series on. For the longest time, I was trying to find ways to incorporate like trends or holidays into my page, which I never could. And I was thinking like, how can I do that with magic? And I saw the paper art as something on TikTok, something similar. And I said, I can really incorporate like some trends, some holidays into this. And around Halloween, like I did a bunch of Halloween characters and it worked really well. And now too, I did like a couple Christmas ones and they're getting like lots of views. Like I posted one last night, so like 1 point something million views. And I know now that this is close enough to magic and it's not something that's going to run out. Like I have so many more ideas with it, like different types of paper art, like storytelling over top of the paper art and still just trying things, but keeping it within the niche. I think something is too far out of your niche when you post it and the views are just like so low compared to everything else. You say, you know what? I tried it. It didn't work out. And you take a step back and you look at it and you say, why didn't it work? I think that's one of the most important things, knowing why something did or didn't work. Because one of the worst things that can happen is you have a video blow up and you have no idea why. So before I post, I always think, I'm going to try these three things in the video. If it works, it's probably because of one of these three things, and just kind of like split testing like that.
And so, kind of on that note, when you post a video, what do you look for to know that, oh, this one's going to go viral? Like in that video you posted yesterday, it's at 1.7 million views now. At what point did you realize, like, oh, this video is going to have some legs and it's going to get a lot of views? Like, what do you look for? Like, what signals do you see that tell you something's going to go viral?
So I feel like sometimes there's always a factor of luck in it. You can never know for sure. But things that I definitely look for are if it's done well in the past and I know why it's done well, if I implement those things, it should work again. For example, I want to do some Christmas characters. So like a couple days ago, I did Buddy the Elf out of a sheet of paper and it got like 2.4 million views. Then I did something like a sports team logo, which did significantly worse. And I was thinking, okay, why didn't it do as well? And I was thinking, okay, it's Christmas time. The Buddy the Elf one did well. I'm sure if I do like a Home Alone cutout, it'll do well. It's Christmas themed. I think that's why the other one did well, and it did. So in that sense, it's kind of looking at what worked in the past, understanding why it worked, and then reapplying that to what you're about to post or want to do more of.
A thread I'm seeing here. So you jump on the different seasons so you can utilize that in your videos because those seem to do well. And you're also finding ways to merge popular things in pop culture like Buddy the Elf, Home Alone into your videos. And that's what tends to do more when there's a connection point people have to your video outside of magic. Like they come to your video because they see something they recognize, but then they stay when they realize how cool the magic is. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Even with the mind reading too, I try to incorporate pictures. Like I know which celebrity you'll pick. I picked 9 of the hottest celebrities right now, and they say, "Oh, that person! Like they're always in the news. Like I see this person on my For You page all the time, and it grabs their attention, right?" Whereas if it's like I'm gonna cut this guy out of a sheet of paper, it's like, who is that? Like next, right? But yeah, exactly what you're saying. You tie it to something popular. Like I did a Spider-Man one recently, like for the new movie, right? And it got nearly a million views, and yeah, just tying it to pop culture kind of helps to hook the attention. Because obviously, I'm sure as you've heard from everyone else, the hook is definitely like one of the most important parts of a video.
So can you kind of give me an example of like what the first 1 to 3 seconds of your video looks like so that you're able to hook someone?
Yeah, so I actually talked with a friend about this exact thing, like what the hook is and like how you can grab attention. And for the longest time, it was just kind of like, stop scrolling. This is going to blow your mind, this and that. But I decided now, like when I cut something out of a sheet of paper, I always use a comment from one of my videos and respond to it, right? And I remember one of my friends, he told me, he said, when you read out a comment, it's creating in the person's mind that if someone else thought that you were important enough to request that you do something, like, oh, well, if this person wanted it, like, if this person is acknowledging them and asking them something, they must be pretty important. Like, I want to see. So as opposed to me just saying, oh, I'm going to make Buddy the elf. It's like, okay, cool. Like when someone else asks for it, it's like, oh, like other people want this. Like, let's see, like, why is it requested? Something like that. Just kind of thinking of like that psychology of why people would stop scrolling. So for mine, it's like something they can relate to. It's something that someone else asked. And it's something that obviously the big gratification at the end is what is it going to look like? So those are like three things I kind of put in the hook there that are setting it up to hopefully go viral.
I've never thought of the psychological, if that's the right word, benefits of having that response sticker. I always assume it's just a great way to source content ideas, but I never thought about how it stops somebody in the feed because now it shows like a signal to them that you're someone they can trust because other people are asking that question too. And on top of that too, they're going to have to read the comments. That stops them and takes them a second to read it. So they've already kind of invested some time in the video. So they might as well stick around to the end.
Absolutely. And what I think is really cool too is something my friend mentioned about that same comment thing, where he said, like a lot of times he'll say, do this person, do that person, whatever. And like, that's okay. Like I could respond to that comment, but what I'll do is usually look at what people request the most and ask one of my friends, can you comment this on my video? Because sometimes there's just better ways to word the comment where it's like, if someone said do Spider-Man, like, okay, sure. And I know a lot of people want it, but if I get one of my friends say like make Spider-Man for the new movie, right? And that's the comment, like that's so much more compelling, right? It's like, oh yeah, the new movie, like I want to see it, right? Whereas opposed to do Spider-Man, it's like, okay. So sometimes it's just even the wording of the comment, like the first few words you say in the video can make all the difference, right?
That's interesting too. Is just like even being creative in how you utilize that comment as well, because I feel like asking a friend, and it's not being disingenuous because you're sourcing what they should comment from the audience first. And you're just basically letting them help you create that content in a more effective way.
For sure. Not all the time, because sometimes obviously you don't want to have the same person in all your videos, right? But exactly what you said. I'm not going to go out and ask my friend to make something no one wants because once again, it's probably not going to do well if no one requested in the first place.
And so how often are you spending in your comment section? You're 3.5 million followers now. I'm sure the comments are nuts. Like, do you try to block off time in your day to reply to comments just whenever you have a minute? Like, what does that look like engaging with your audience?
I think it's definitely an important thing to do and something I'd love to do more of. Um, yeah, I do get a lot of comments at this point now because in all my videos at the end, I see like comment who I should do next, right? That kind of thing. And obviously, like, the one I just posted yesterday, it's got like 10,000 comments of people saying, do this person, do that person. But what I'll usually do is within the first like 20, 30 minutes, like I'll always answer the people. And like if someone's like, oh, I love your videos, whatever, I'll usually follow them back. Or if they say, do this person, I'll be like, yeah, I got you. And then, I follow them back and like they're so happy, right? Just building that community, I think is also really important.
For sure. And I think even just following people back is huge. I feel like that doesn't happen too often.
Well, when Sean did it to me, I said, you know what, I got to carry on the legacy, right? That was one of the things that really catapulted my confidence. So if I can hopefully do that for someone else, that would make me like super happy, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I think too, so I'm curious, you have the first video we talked about that hit 1 million views. How many followers did that get from that first viral video?
A good like few thousand, 4,000, something like that. And I was over the moon. I never thought because logging on, like I was saying, looking at those other people in the space and Sean and people like that, or even other people just 1 million followers, I was like, oh, like I'll never make it. Like that's crazy, 1 million people, right? So my standards were pretty low as to how far I could go. So when I got like even a couple thousand followers, I was like, oh, this is insane, right? So after that first viral video and I got a few thousand followers, that was a big, big milestone for me. Even the first 1,000 was just like they were coming in so fast. Because I remember some days I would gain 2 followers a day, right? For the first couple months. And I was like, we're making progress, but it's not looking good. But yeah.
And so how long did it take you then from that first, so you're 2 months in, approximately 1 million views on a video, 4 or 5,000 followers. How long does it take you then to get from there to 1 million?
For good like 7 or 8 months. It was actually a year ago. I guess a year ago at this point, I was at about like 700K, maybe 800K. Because I remember it was over the Christmas break where I was like, I'm gonna push to a million, and I had I think 700K. Yeah, and I posted like so many every day for weeks. And I think by the end of the Christmas break, I got like 980,000. So I came close, but it definitely took a solid 7 or 8 months because still, even though I had that one style that worked, I was still looking for something to go like mega viral and stuff like that. Like I was still finding my way, and I think I am too, and many other creators are still finding, that one hidden thing that'll work. A couple of them I think have figured it out, but for the most part, we're always trying new things. So it's always trial and error, especially if it's your first time in that space.
No, for sure. And so you hit a million just shortly after the Christmas break there. What point, like, do you have a job right now? Or are you full time on TikTok at the moment?
YouTube Shorts Fund is in Canada, thankfully, so that's where I'm getting a good majority of my income from, as opposed to TikTok, which doesn't have the creator fund in Canada, unfortunately, yet. But it is what it is. What I'm doing outside of that is I'm in computer engineering at like a local university here, which definitely takes up quite a bit of time. But again, being stuck at home was kind of like a blessing in that sense because I had the time and like everything I needed really to pursue this, right? With no commute or things like that. It was really, really optimal. And I think if I had to commute and things like that, I don't know if I would have ever started with it, right? Because it's kind of forcing me at home to do something.
So a bulk of the income now is coming off of the YouTube Shorts fund. When did you make the jump to YouTube Shorts?
I actually interesting story with that actually. I had been posting since June, I think. This past June on YouTube Shorts. And it was horrible, right? For months, there were no views. It was like 20 views, 30 views, and I couldn't understand why. Like, I remember, I think it was in August, maybe. I saw an account that was just reposting all of my TikToks and getting millions of views. And I was like, well, how? Why? Like, I guess my content's not the problem, but like, why? Right? Like, and I talked to that other friend that I was talking to about the comments on the video. He started YouTube Shorts as well in the summer, and he was posting a lot. And he told me like, you can do 3, 4, 5 shorts a day, and you'll only see results after a good like 2 months, 3 months. Even I was like, okay, well, that makes me feel a bit better. But then he kind of blew up in August, maybe, and I just kept grinding it. And I think it was from June until late September, I saw nothing. I think my highest viewed video was 4K. And then I reposted an old short that was still up on my channel, got like a million views overnight. I was like, let's go. And then it was just kind of up from there. And I got to a point where like I just couldn't miss. Like every video I posted, even if it was bad or it had done poorly on TikTok in the past, like it was just the algorithm decided like, this is good for you now. Like your account is good to go now. And I was like, okay, let's go. And I actually hit 100,000 subscribers on my birthday, which is like pretty cool.
And so what do you think led to the flip of that switch where YouTube starts recommending your videos? Like, did you start going in after you published it and updating the tags or anything? Was it the way you titled the video? Like, what do you think led to that switch?
I posted a lot of different videos, different types, pretty much everything I posted on TikTok in the past. And it was kind of around the time we're on TikTok in June. I broke up my account into the Magic Matt and then Matty P stories, right? So I had the storytelling one, the magic one. But on my YouTube channel, I was just posting the content from both all on the same Magic Matt channel. So it's kind of around like later into the summer where I broke up the YouTube channels and kind of niched them both down. And on it was actually funny on my second YouTube channel, Matty P Stories, in like July or something like that, I had a short get like 3 million views on the second channel. I was like, why isn't my main channel working out though? Like it was kind of like, I was like, I don't know. Maybe I just got to stick closer to the niche. And I think it was just consistency at that point. I've seen it too with a few of my friends, like a couple that I'm pretty close with. They both started in the summer and it was kind of around like November, October time where their account was just kind of like chosen by the algorithm and it just blew up. And I think that's just because YouTube starting out a brand new, like fresh account in this climate with so much competition. They really want to see like who's going to stick with it and who's going to continue putting out the quality content. Because my watch time on the shorts was over 100%. And I was like, why is nobody watching this? Why is it not getting pushed out? And I think it was just a matter of consistency and just niching down that kind of led to the blow up.
I'm curious over the course of the last, not quite 2 years, but since you started on TikTok, what do you think some of the biggest, or even on YouTube, what are some of the biggest mistakes you think you've made?
Trying to do too many things at once. A lot of like I was trying to do storytelling, illusions, magic, mind reading, just everything, and just throwing a bunch of stuff and hoping it sticks, as opposed to kind of breaking it down and understand why it does or doesn't work. And really defining your niche, I think, is important, and that's something that can take a while. I remember even Joe Bartolozzi was saying in one of his videos before, it takes a long time to find your niche. He did a bunch of random stuff before he found like the rant or reaction videos. And it's just important to take that time and realize that it's not going to be instant. Something starting out, I think a mistake for me was that I expected my first video to do decently well, and then it got 100 views, and I was kind of discouraged. Like just going into it with the mindset that it's going to be a lot of trial and error, and that it's okay to take time to find out what works and what you want your niche to be.
So now today, you're sitting, like I said we said in the intro, over 3.5 million followers on TikTok, over 600,000 subscribers on YouTube. I would assume those two audiences are different. Like it's not like there's a ton of carryover from TikTok to the YouTube Shorts. So we're sitting at almost over 4 million people that follow you. Do you ever stop and think about that number?
It's so easy to get swept up and just looking at it that it's just a number. Um, but there's actually something that happened like a week ago, I guess. Last Friday, like I went to watch Spider-Man just at like a local movie theater or whatever. And this guy, like probably a young teenager, comes up to me and he says, "Are you the Magic Matt?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "Oh, I watch all your videos. I'm a huge fan." This and that. I was like, "Wow, like, I always thought these were just numbers on a screen. Like it's real people on the other side of that screen." And it's just kind of like eye opening to see things like that, that there are real people that care about what you're posting. And that's kind of one of like the biggest or most rewarding feelings of being a creator for sure. But I know like starting out, I would be over the moon if I got like 10,000 views. But now if a video doesn't hit like 100,000, it's like, oh, like this is a flop. Like I'm so upset. But you just gotta be thankful for what you have at sometimes for sure, because it is a huge number, and it's something that I honestly never thought I'd get to.
It's thankful for what you have. And also, like, if you told Matt when he started that what you consider a bad video now, he'd probably lose his mind at the idea of getting that many views. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. That's yeah. Well, I remember when I got that 8,000 views the first day, and that my first viral video is like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Is this a glitch? Like, is it really 8,000?" Right? It's just pretty crazy to see. Yeah.
Do you ever deal with, like, I know you're sitting, like we talked at the numbers, but like, do you ever deal with imposter syndrome? Like, man, I don't know how I got these many followers. Like, am I supposed to be like, is that something you have to deal with?
Sometimes it's like, yeah, you look at the other people a lot bigger than you. And I think one of the biggest caveats or things you have to look out for in that regard is the easiest way to be unhappy or feel bad about yourself is just compare yourself to other people. Like I know sometimes, obviously, I look up to Sean. I love his content. I love his videos, whatever. But sometimes, like, oh, he's so big. Like, he'll always be number one. I'll never be there, whatever. Like, maybe I don't belong here, this and that. But you have to be thankful for the people that do follow you, right? If you just take a step back and realize how far you've come, I think that really helps to know that you belong there. And if you enjoy doing it, it's something for you. And I remember even seeing that Gary Vee said that for like every Charlie D'Amelio or whoever, they're like hundreds of thousands of people who are not big names, but they're making a pretty good living off doing what they love. And that's always been the objective for me. So I don't have to be like number one, making millions in LA or whatever. As much as I'd love to, I would be more than happy to just do this full time. And that's something that I feel like is definitely in the cards. So
Definitely in the cards. I think it's more than possible. But so you said, so now you're in school. So you're going to plan to kind of finish school and then to kind of assess where you're at and go from there.
yeah, hopefully it takes off. And I don't plan on working full time as like an engineer, things like that. Like obviously my heart is being a content creator. That's where I'm at. But yeah, I would definitely love to have that. I know like YouTubers that I look up to, like Cody Co and people like that. Like they finish like computer engineering, this and that. I think it'd just be a really cool thing because I always tried really hard in high school, and things like that. Like I was never one to slack or let my grades slide. So I just think getting that degree would be kind of a nice end to that chapter in my life and then pursuing what I really love, but not giving it up now, right? Like it's always important to do a bit of what you love, but also schooling is important for now. Yeah.
So what's your posting schedule right now then? If you're in school, are you daily, twice daily? Like what's that look like?
Yeah, I noticed something earlier on was reposts sometimes do decently well. So if I'm really strapped and I don't have any time, sometimes reposting a video can do better than the original or just changing it slightly. Like I had an instance starting out where I posted a video once and it got like 6,000 views. I posted the exact same video, got like 20,000 views. And then a third time, I didn't have any new content, like so busy. I was like, I thought this video was really good. I'm gonna post it again. It got like 1.4 million views. It was the exact same video 3 times. I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. I mean, it's not beneficial at this point now to have the same video 3 times on your feed. But it was something I learned early on that if you're really strapped for time, reposting is definitely a useful tool, or even remixing, right? Changing it slightly and posting it again. Like sometimes I'll do a paper art video and just change the text in the video and see how it goes and just tailoring it to what I've been doing recently. Um, I think it's an important tool. So I post like once a day on my main account. I try to post a few on my second account, which has kind of been like up and down. My second account is close to like 500K on TikTok now, which I started in the summer. But yeah, a couple times a day on there if I can, and then just once on my main account.
There's something you said there too with the reposting the videos. No one ever thinks to do that. People always think it has to be new content, but especially as you grow on TikTok or any platform, there's so many new people that haven't seen that old stuff. So the reposting it could be a new video for so many people. And like you said, the third time was a charm for you and it went viral that third time. So I like that. That's not something many people ever think to do is reposting old content.
Exactly. Well, I think too with now that like banner on TikTok where it's like reposting your most viral video of 2021. I don't know if you've seen that a lot, but like kind of flooding my FYP. I think people are now going to start to realize that if a video went viral in the past, it has a decent chance of doing it again. So it can definitely be a useful tool as opposed to just not posting anything for weeks on end when you could have been showing your old viral videos to new people. Like I remember I did like a I know which movie you'll pick, and it was like Christmas movies. I posted it last year and it went viral. I was like, you know what, I'll post it again now, right? Like it's a year later. And I got like 1.8 million views. So I was kind of like that's good, it's the exact same video, but back then I had 700K. Now I have like quite a few more. So like no one had really seen that video. So it's definitely an important tool.
Do you have a calendar, like a content calendar or anything that you use? Like, so you know what videos you have to post on certain days? Or do you just like wake up every day and you're like, oh, I guess I got to come up with a video for today now too?
Yeah, it's more so the latter. Um, I was never the one to like in grade school or whatever, I'd always have the papers flying out of my desk, messy agenda, whatever. It's good to stay organized, but it's kind of you can't be too restrictive on yourself. Like if I have a video blow up, but like my schedule is like post this or that, it's like, yeah, but like this is doing well for me. Like this is a good idea. I want to delve deeper into this and try remixing this video. It's definitely okay to deviate from what you have planned. Like for the next few days, I plan on just doing like more cutouts of Christmas characters and things like that. But I don't have it down to like it has to be this at this time every day. It's always good to be a bit relaxed, but also not to the point where you're just throwing random stuff on your page and hoping it sticks.
I'm curious actually for those ones that you go back and remix or those ones that you just repost straight up. What do you look for in the older videos that you think, okay, I should repost this video and maybe not that one?
Yeah, I think it's just even with the for now at least, like the time of the year, I think is pretty important too. Like the one with the movies, it was Christmas movies, right? It's like, oh, that's perfect, right? Or even ones that have gone viral in the past are usually, I wouldn't say they're like sure to go viral again, but they have a higher chance than ones that haven't. Or just ones like if I create a viral video and then I create another one that's kind of similar to it, but it doesn't do nearly as well, maybe I'll repost that one again. Because I was like, hey, it was so similar to the original viral one. Let me try it again. Let me tweak this, right? Like even the call to action or the hook or just anything like that. And I think just tweaking that, I mean, obviously luck plays a factor, but I think that could be a great tool.
And so you don't have a schedule or anything that you follow, like you said, but do you have any routines or anything? Like, I'm trying to look for advice for people around creating content consistently, because I feel like that's another thing that trips a lot of people up. Is like posting every single day is a lot. So like, do you have any routines? Like every morning at like 10 a.m. is when I start my TikToks or anything like that. Like, what are your tips for consistent recording?
Yeah, for sure. Now since I'm like I have the views or whatever and the following, I don't have to be as rigorous. But starting out for sure, I think something that's really important is making sure that you're consistent with as much as you want. If you say I'm gonna post 3 times a day for a week, stick to it for that week, right? Like try as hard as you can not to deviate. For me, when I was starting out, especially in school, I would always take the time from like after dinner, like 7 to 8 p.m. to just post 2 videos, right? Like I'm taking everything into account, like what's worked before. I'm gonna try this, kind of maybe think of a couple ideas throughout the day. But yeah, that time every day, I'm gonna go downstairs, I'm gonna turn on my ring light, and I'm gonna post 2 videos, right? So it's just kind of, committing to yourself that I'm gonna post 1 or 2. There's no set number. I've seen people post once a week and they go viral, but I think a solid thing because quantity kind of leads to quality when you're starting out. The more videos you post, the more you learn what works and what doesn't, and the more you can improve your quality. So I think at the start, posting like twice or 3 times, as much as you possibly can, just to learn what works and what you like doing, what works for you. And then just kind of sticking to that 2, 3 a day or one if you can, but just doing what you said you were going. But like doing what you said you were going to do, I think is really important.
Quantity leads to quality. I like that. I like that a lot. And so I'm curious. And so if so, you're posting all these videos, you're posting two after dinner. Is that two to the main or like one to each channel?
Well, back when I was starting out, I kind of just had the one, right? Um, it was only recently this past summer that I broke it off. So it was just kind of two to the same one. It was around the time, I think this past November, where I was losing followers. Like I was at 490K and every day I was losing like 500. And I was like, okay, like this week, I'm actually going to post like 2 a day. So I was kind of slacking for a little bit there. Like I didn't post for a couple days, like the followers were going down. I was getting discouraged, but I said, I'm going to post 2 a day and I'm going to stick to it. And it was actually funny because I posted a video. It's like, I know which cartoon you'll pick. Did terribly. So I posted the second video. And then the next day, I was like, that cartoon one, like, there are a lot of popular cartoon characters there. I'm going to try it again. So I posted the same video the next night. And after days of my analytics going like this with the followers, it went viral, like 600K views overnight, with only 490K followers. And I remember I woke up and I was at 500K and I was like, yes, like we're back on track. And then I was again, like just not celebrating for too long, but still sticking with it, right? I said I was going to do 2 a day for this week. It finally took off. I'm getting some more momentum, but I'm not going to take my foot off the pedal just yet, right? Like sticking to what you said you were going to do.
Are there any little things you do in your video that you don't think people would necessarily realize? Like I know when I talked to Sean, he said he would like put random stuff in his background so that people would comment about it. Or I talked to Adam Ferris, who runs his account called Launch Mode. He has about just over 1 million followers now, and he'll mispronounce words that people will try to correct him in the comments. Like, is there any little things like that you do with your content that people might not necessarily realize you're doing on purpose?
Yeah, so I remember seeing that thing about mispronouncing words. It's a pretty interesting technique. Um, yeah, so one thing I saw another creator do that I tried like sometimes, if I remember, it's like when I'm cutting or something, I'll just put like a random emoji in the background or something like that. People are gonna think like it's an accident, and they're like, "Oh, like what's with the little cookie in the back or whatever," right? But yeah, that's definitely something important, something that drives comments or gets people talking for sure. Um, as opposed to, I know so many people at the end of the video is let me know what you think. It's like, okay, sure. But instead of doing like little things like that, I more so do like embedded questions, like rate this design 1 to 20, or put something like that in the description or the comments. But in terms of little things, yeah, it's like random little emojis on the screen, I think, to get people talking, something as simple as that.
I like the idea that you have there of having a separate thing pop up on screen that also creates engagement, like not like separate from the video, but it's tied to the video. It's like I have a TikTok coming out in the next couple of weeks about how Mr. Beast always has like a side story in his YouTube videos where it's like you click on for where the main thing is, but he always finds a way to have something related but separate in his videos as well. And you're kind of doing that for in a TikTok sense where you have something that's related to your video, but it's not like exactly tied. That's not exactly what it is about. That encourages engagement. I really like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, again, that's not something I just came up with right away, right? There's a lot of like trial and error and things like that. So yeah, it's always just thinking of like little things and just implementing them because like the little things you add into your video definitely add up. So I know too, like just throwing a bunch of things in a video. Maybe your video worked because you mispronounced a word or that was a big part of it. But again, like maybe you didn't even mispronounce it on purpose the first time, right? That's why like again, like quantity leads to quality because if you post more and more and you have that little slip up and people talk about it, you're like, there's something. Like now I can improve my videos in this way.
And you don't script your videos in any way, do you?
I usually don't because then it kind of like you can tell. I feel like if creators do, I always have a loose outline of what's going to happen though, especially for the storytelling ones like dates and numbers and stuff like that. Um, if you mess it up, people tear you apart in the comments, but that could also be a good thing, right? As long as you correct it. But yeah, it's always good to have a general outline as opposed to just rambling. And I know how important it is. Like every word you say in a video carries value. So if it's not needed, like take it out, right? Like any second of like blank space or unengaging whatever you're saying is anything boring, like that's an opportunity for the people to just go to the next video.
So how long then do you aim to have your videos when you post them?
I usually try and keep it under a minute, just keep it the theme of like, short form videos. But I know now like TikTok just rolled out 5-minute videos. So I'm starting to think like they're trying to become the next YouTube. So I'm gonna look into longer videos, but for now, my videos are as short as they can be while including everything that needs to be included. Right. So if there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't add any value, it's not like I'm trying to hit like a certain time so I can play an ad or something like that. Right. If it doesn't need to be there, I'll cut it out and I'll try to keep it as under a minute or for the cutting ones, like even just over 30 seconds, I find works well. Anything longer, people are like, it's taking too long. It's not worth it. Like, you're like on to the next one, right?
And how often are you doing like a review of your content performance? Like, do you try to do like a monthly review of your analytics and see what's working, what's not? Do you just kind of do it as you feel? Like, what does your review process look like for your content after it's been posted?
Well, what I do now is I kind of post. I think this is important actually. Before, like when I was starting out, I would post a lot throughout the day. So it's kind of like hoping it would go viral and constantly checking my phone throughout the day. Now I just kind of post one at night, go to sleep. I wake up and it either went viral or it didn't. And then you just go from there, right? As opposed to kind of obsessing over it. But yeah, every day I'll check the video from the day before and just say like, did it work? Did it go viral? Did it not? And then if not, like sometimes I'll even just send it to some of my friends who are also creators and being like, why is this video so bad? Right? Like if I can't pinpoint it, right? Sometimes it's hard to think critically about your own stuff. So I'd say daily I review my content to see what did well, what didn't. And then like after a couple weeks, if the views are low or really high, just scrolling through like your last however many videos it is and just seeing if there's a theme and like looking like sometimes it's helpful to look at your last 10 videos and say, okay, which of them broke 500K views, and then take a look and say, what do these all have in common, right? The more you post, the more you'll understand.
What are those analytics you look at outside of views when you're trying to determine how well a video did or why a video did as well as it did in terms of view count?
Yeah, so I think something that's important that I saw again looking at what other people do. I saw a creator, she does like art and stuff like that, and in all her videos, she kind of puts like a little, if you don't mind, like, can you please copy the link and send to a friend or share this video or something like that. And I know that really works. Something that I found that's so important is like ask and you shall receive, right? If you tell people, if you enjoy the design, please share this video with a friend or something like that, you'd be surprised how many more people would share it than if you didn't say that. And like I was saying, every word you put in a TikTok is so powerful. Like I remember I did a paper cutout and I said like whatever it is, and it got like 1,000 shares, let's say. The one I just posted yesterday was like, if you like the design, like share with a friend or something like that, and it got like 40,000 shares. So it's like so drastically different, right? The views were not like crazy different. It was just the number of shares, which I know helps quite a bit. Because I think in order of importance, it's like, or order of increasing importance, likes, shares, likes, comments, shares, watch time, and like percentage of people that watch till the end. So I focus on shares and just making sure that people don't scroll off.
What would you say to someone who's struggling to get views on TikTok right now?
I would first let them know that I've been there, right? And I think every creator has been there, and it's not unusual. What I would say is take a look, like what Sean was saying too, I think is really important. What is your niche? Like write down in one sentence on a sheet of paper, what is your niche? What are you trying to do? Because if you can't define the niche for yourself, no one else can. They're not going to follow. So, what is your niche? Look up a few hashtags related to that niche, see what works for other people. If you say, oh, like that's really interesting, and just kind of brainstorm ideas. I think it helps too, obviously, if you're bigger, talking to other people and saying, like, my views have been low lately. Like, here's some ideas I have, and they can build off. Even your family members, like parents, anyone, just saying, here's an idea. Like, what do you think? And just getting the opinion of others. But at the end of the day, if your views are low and you're trying to get them up, just try new things, right? The more you post, the more you'll learn what works for you. Because what worked for someone else might not work for you. So just, yeah, if the views are low, look at what's working in your niche and try it out. If it doesn't work, then keep trying. It's really is a long game in some respects for sure.
What do you see people get wrong about TikTok?
So yeah, I think the number one thing that people get wrong about TikTok is thinking of it like a get rich quick scheme, right? It's not going to be a blow up overnight, unless you're like, unless you're like LeBron James or something. It's going to be a long game, and just going in with the mindset that if it doesn't work out right away, that's okay. I think so many people post like 10 videos, they don't work out, and they say, that's it, closing the book, on to the next thing. But I really think that I forget the statistic, but I think it's like 99% of people will give up after X number of failures. And you just need to realize that each failure is teaching you something, and you need to learn what it's teaching you and then apply it. So, the number one thing I think people get wrong is they go in with the mindset that it's just going to click right away and that they're going to go viral. And in actuality, that's pretty unrealistic expectations.
What would you do if you woke up tomorrow and you had 0 followers, everything was disappeared, and you had to start all over again? What would you do to get back to where you are today?
I think that's a scary reality for a lot of creators with random permanent bans that I've been seeing. I've had a couple friends actually, like 4 million followers, and just overnight gone, and it's crazy. But I feel like if I ever started again, I wouldn't be starting from scratch. I'd be starting from experience. Um, what I would do is just kind of, I'm at zero, but I'm just going to carry on with what I've learned, right? Like everything I've said, like applying catering to the holidays. I know what works, right? Like the paper art does well. People I'm sure will catch back on. And I even started the storytelling account in the summer as kind of a test to see like, did I learn anything, right? I think I got like 100K in like a couple weeks or something like that. So I was kind of thinking like, on my main account, it took me good few months to get 100K, and now I can do it in a couple weeks. So starting from scratch or starting from zero, I would just be applying all the same principles I have. Obviously, it's a bit easier because I already know what works within the niche because I just did it on my previous account. But yeah, it would be kind of just carrying on with what I've learned.
Do you enjoy the content you make?
Absolutely. I feel like if you don't enjoy it, like why would other people, right? I know there's an audience for some. I think like a lot of people who do like the fake pranks type of content, stuff like that. I'm not sure if when they watch it back they're like thoroughly enjoyed or things like that, but I know there's an audience for it, so obviously it works. And it's a good, or it's what's the word, like it's a viral idea, right? Like it works for a lot of people. um but yeah, I definitely enjoy what I make, and I love making it too. Like making the cutouts and art and things like that, and magic obviously is something I love doing in person. So being able to do it on camera is just kind of like the natural next step. And it's not like I think if you just go in and say like I'm gonna copy everyone else so I can get a lot of views, like that's a big mistake. Don't go in chasing views. Go in doing what you like, and the views will follow.
So, what's your long term goal with TikTok and everything then?
I think the long term is just to be able to make a living off it. I don't have to be like the number one, making millions in LA, but just being able to create content for a living is just the dream. I
And
find it such an interesting process, just like analyzing videos, creating, and I just have so much fun with it.
what's stopping you from getting to there right now?
I think it's just time, to be honest. If I really just, quit everything else in my life and did social media full time, sure I could do it, but I want to enjoy the journey, right? Like once you make it, and like my end goal is doing it full time, right? So I kind of want to enjoy the journey getting there as well, right? Like once it's like the paycheck comes in, it's like, all right, this is my job now. It's like it's great. Like I'm looking forward to that, but I don't want it to be here too soon.
How often do you look back on the whole journey here? Going back to that guy who's getting 500 views on a video and couldn't figure out how to get more than that, to today, 3.5 million plus followers on TikTok, 600,000 plus subscribers on YouTube. Like, how often do you just look back on this crazy last just under 2 year period?
Man, it's funny. I mean, just the other day, I was looking for some shorts I could repost. So I was digging deep into my old TikToks. And it's funny because when you look back at some of your older videos and like you hear the sounds like from that era of TikTok, right? Like you play an old video, it's like, oh my gosh, like roses or whatever. You hear like one of those really nostalgic TikTok songs. It kind of like takes you back. You think like there was that day where I posted that video and like, I went to sleep and it did horrible the next morning. Like it was kind of a rough period. And it kind of reminds you too of like what was going on in your life at that time. Like I remember especially when we were stuck at home, like everything was so uncertain. And then, yeah, I would say like pretty often I reflect back on like how far I've come. And I think that's important too, to keep in mind, like to not get caught up in all the numbers, right? Just being grateful and looking back on how far you've come. So that's something I try to do often, just to stay like optimistic.
For the last question, I like to flip the script a little bit. So instead of me asking the question, it's you asking the question, but it's not to me. So pretend you have a crystal ball. You can ask this crystal ball any question, you'll get the 100% honest answer. What is one question you want to know the answer to?
Will I be verified on TikTok ever?
Fair enough. Like, what's that process? I don't even know what that process is like. Do you have to apply for it? Does it just show up one day? Like, how does that work?
It's too ambiguous. I think I've reached out. YouTube, you hit 100K, you get verified. Like I checked off that box. That was good. But TikTok, currently what I'm doing is trying to get more press because last time, they said like, oh, like we reviewed your account, like you don't have enough press, whatever. So that's what they told me. So that's what I'm trying to do. Uh, but yeah, like I have an article coming out for like the school paper and things like that that I think or even just working with like press agencies is something I want to get into because I think having the blue check mark really builds your brand. Obviously, I wish like I'd started, in 2019 and it's so much easier back then, but it's definitely good to have that base of followers and whatever. Like I'm definitely grateful for what I have, but I think it's just ambiguous and like one day if you deserve it, you'll get it type thing.
I definitely think you're on the path. You should. I would be surprised if we talk in a year's time and you still don't have that check mark. So I think you're on the
I hope
path and it's
so.
coming your way.
I hope so. Yeah.
Awesome, man. But I want to thank you so much for taking time to come on the podcast. I want to give you the floor. And I know we've kind of talked about it throughout, but I want you to clarify with the people, where can they find you, plug anything and everything you got right now?
Yeah, for sure. So on TikTok, I have the Magic Mat. Same thing on YouTube and Instagram, the Magic Mat. And if you're interested in storytelling, anything like that, facts, stories, skits, things like that, you can find me at Maddie P Stories on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Other than that, I've had an awesome time.
Awesome. And so did I. This was a lot of fun. And I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below so everyone can find your handles and they can follow you there. But I want to thank you once again for taking time to come on the podcast. And I want to thank everybody for listening, whether you've listened the entire way through or you only listen to bits and pieces. I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Everyone do me a big favor. Go and follow Matt. Like I said, I'll link all of his handles in the show notes down below so you can find it. If you'd like to follow me, you can find me everywhere on social media at the Jacob Kelly. Feel free to come and say hello. My DMs are always open. As always, today's podcast is powered by TRUFAN. Thank you once again for listening. We'll talk soon.